All right, we are back in Studio K. Before we start, I would love to get a little name and instrument introduction from you.
For sure. I'm drey. Most of what I do is pretty synth-based, but there's some guitar sprinkled in there. Quite a bit of vocal manipulation, harmonization going on. But yeah, it's kind of just a lo-fi experience.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Cool. And we just heard Sorry, Worry, and I Thought. And before I kind of get into your current stuff, I'd kind of love to know what your introduction to music was. Like, when did you start playing? Did you play any instruments in middle school band? You know, all that good stuff. Kind of what brought you to this point?
Yeah. I mean, I've ultimately been singing forever.
Okay.
Truthfully, I feel like that's ultimately where it all started. I feel like I've been singing pretty much since birth, since my inception. But yeah, I've been singing forever. I picked up piano around the time I was in second grade, I believe. I've been playing ever since, in and out of lessons and whatnot. Now I'm just kind of doing my own thing. But yeah, as far as guitar is concerned, that is an instrument that I am completely self-taught in through and through. I picked up guitar first or second year into high school. I think I might have I was probably a freshman actually. And yeah, I taught myself everything I know about guitar. As far as middle school band, I did have a flute moment.
Me too.
It was brief.
Yeah.
Didn't really stick.
Yeah.
Flute, unfortunately, did not really stick for me. I think my mom is still sad about that.
Yeah, me too. This is
in case she's listening.
I'm just about to like share some information about myself, and I actually know that I'm positive that my mom is listening right now.
Sorry,
but
moms.
Anytime I come home, and this doesn't super happen anymore, it was like when my flute was still in the house, I would come home and she would sometimes be like, it makes me kind of sad that you don't play flute anymore. Like, I really just miss that. And I'm like, well,
yeah.
It's lost to time.
Yeah. But you know, at least choir for sure stuck for me.
Yeah.
I auditioned and joined my first like somewhat large choral ensemble when I was in 5th grade.
Mm-hmm.
And then I was pretty much in and out of different vocal ensembles after that, like whether it was school related or otherwise. So I'm currently choirless, but I could definitely see that changing.
Looking for a choir.
I'm definitely I'm in a choirless period right now, but I could definitely see that changing for me.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah.
And yeah, since you kind of taught yourself guitar, was the intention with that kind of an avenue for you to start writing your own stuff? Were you doing that before? Had that allowed you to kind of progress that further, so to speak?
You know, yes, actually. I feel like for sure. I don't know what it was about piano that for some I think piano's a very foundational instrument for me. It's where I'm most comfortable, and I think I got used to just playing it in isolation for so long that like I don't know what it was about guitar. I think it might have just been it might have actually been more of the lack of structure and lessons that made it feel a lot more freeing, and like the stakes were a bit lower. I feel like every melody that I've been able to write that's been guitar based since I've been playing guitar has always managed to come pretty freely and naturally. I I tend to overthink most things, and that definitely carries over into my songwriting. But guitar is one of those instruments where I feel like the more comfortable I've gotten with it over time, the better. It's definitely served as a vessel for me to really explore melodies in a way that just feels really different and freeing, and like it's just allowed for more creative exploration for me, for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. And in terms of your actual songwriting process, do you find that you gravitate more towards like writing the instruments first or the lyrics, or is it like spontaneous? Do you have any type of structure? Is it just kind of whatever comes to mind at the moment?
Yeah, I feel like overall it is a very spur of the moment experience for me writing songs. I'm not the type of person to sit myself down and be like, it's time to write a song.
Yeah.
It a lot of my ideas I feel like do come very spur of the moment. I might already be like playing through some other stuff. Maybe I'm learning somebody else's song, or I'm exploring a new tuning or something. And I kind of just start melding ideas together, and eventually it turns into something else. I, I'm I often find myself very inspired by this other people's songs that I might be learning, or figuring out how to play. That definitely helps guide me in the direction of kind of melding my own melodies a lot of the time when I'm just kind of sitting down and playing. I I did actually take a songwriting workshop at the beginning of this year. One of like very, very start of the year, I was in a songwriting workshop that my best friend actually surprised me with, like just signed me up for this workshop. That was led and lectured by Adrienne Lanker of Big Thief.
Whoa.
And I didn't really have any expectations or really know what I was getting into with that, but there were a lot of, she like introduced all of these like tools that have really carried over into my songwriting practice now. Like I managed to walk away with a lot of fresh new tools. I've been terrified of alternate tunings for a really, really long time, and it's not until this year that I started exploring alternate tunings beyond standard on guitar, and I have no idea why I was so hesitant for so long, because it's just made playing feel so much better and different and refreshing than when I first started. So that's really cool. And I've been doing a lot more kind of free write kinds of things where it's almost like journaling to an extent, but I try to like limit my time a little bit and just kind of just start spitballing feelings and ideas, which is definitely a fresh approach to songwriting that I haven't typically done in the past, because lyrics are definitely the toughest for me. I think I tend to overthink lyrics the most, and so it has been really helpful to kind of maybe even just get some thoughts down and leave them for a later time and circle back to them later. Long story short, melody tends to come first for me.
Yeah, for sure. And you said, part of that process is influenced by learning other people's songs. Is this other people that you're playing with, like at shows, live, or just like artists that you like generally?
I don't Yeah, I don't really play with any bands currently, but yeah, a lot of the time it's usually artists that I'm listening to,
Okay.
and songs that have maybe just been like really recurring, like staple songs that I just like so much that I sit myself down and just learn a part of it.
Yeah.
I'd say for guitar, by far the most the artist that I definitely find myself working through and learning their songs the most is Beach Fossils, I
Yeah.
think. And what's really cool about them, particularly Dustin Pazer, who fronts that band, he's always been very transparent with his lack of structure and guitar lesson experience. And so like it's cool to have, I like being able to find other artists out there who take similar approaches in that sense, where they kind of just free fall, they kind of just pick up the instrument and kind of just see what happens, kind of just use it as more of a release and vessel, and not something that like has to sound a certain way at a certain time.
Yeah. When I was going to ask, like, who beyond Beach Fossils do you find kind of serves as in like influences the sound that you have currently?
Yeah. Beach House also, for sure. I I feel like seeing them live for the first time back in like 2018 was just such an eye-opener for me, to see a band with, or even just two people, like create such a full atmospheric distinct sound with such a minimal setup, was really really I guess I didn't realize at the time, until looking back on it now, like just how moving that was for me, because I was still, around that time I was still figuring out kind of the sound I was even going for, to be honest, and what I wanted to do, how I wanted to approach it. And I feel like seeing a band that's been just so influential to me and still is, at that time, and seeing how they kind of just seeing what they were like live, was, again, yeah, really moving for me at the time, because when I first started playing, it was ultimately just me and my keyboard and maybe like a BPM beat or a drum machine,
Yeah.
So I think that was really, it really helped guide me in that kind of direction. But otherwise, truthfully, I feel like my rotation and inspiration is kind of constantly shifting around. I'll always be inspired by the other musicians in my life, like just other friends of mine, who make music in the cities, like 26 Bats, She's Green, Bugsy. Those are all great folks, and I'm lucky to know those folks fairly well, and I love watching them play and kind of listening to them talk about their experiences in music, because I feel like we all bring a lot of really cool sounds and experiences to the table. And I saw another local band for the first time recently. They're called Good Doom, and they're like a whimsical instrumental kind of thing. They had a release show at Mortimer's recently that was super mind-blowing. I listen to a lot of instrumental music in my free time, and every time I think I've recorded something that I think I'm going to keep instrumental, I feel like I always end up actually adding some kind of vocalization into it, but that's something I really still want to do, is take an instrumental route at some point, maybe make some instrumental songs. I feel like there's a lot of really wonderful solo femme acts specifically that I look up to quite a bit. Salami Rose Jo Lewis is a great example of one who's doing, Grouper has been around for ages, and she's and she's so good. Caroline Polachek is, an example of someone who I feel like started much more minimal, made like an entirely like MIDI made album when she first started putting stuff out, under a completely different name, and there's a handful of really awesome folks. I mean, that's all like, it's cool that I have examples of people that I can sort of draw and relate to on like in a lo-fi sense, like people who are kind of doing somewhat similar stuff to me, but also folks who are doing completely different things from what I'm doing. Because I'm also just really I'm in pretty deep in the shoegaze realm. I like that much more heavy, ethereal, atmospheric kind of rock, and I'm also hoping at some point to start channeling some more of that too. Like a Cocteau Twins slow dive kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Being able to sort of meld those two worlds together, because I do listen to a lot of that kind of thing too.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah.
A lot of inspirations coming from
a lot of different directions.
different places. Yeah. Well, and it's funny. I feel like this happens a lot. I always like come into the interview with a question that's very directed towards like, what do you like about being a part of the Minneapolis local scene? And people like tend to answer it preemptively anyway, which I think is so cool. Like there's just something very palpable, I think, that brings people together about Minneapolis. And so I'm glad you brought that up anyway.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's just, it's weird for me to even talk about and be able to put into words, honestly, just because it feels so normalized.
Yeah.
Especially since I've lived here forever. It just feels so like I go to so many shows already, and I've worked in a handful of venues too. So to get that, to already be doing that and then also play my own shows, is, it's a lot, there's just so much going on all the time, and I'm just glad that like every now and again I can like there's that sense of familiarity and comfort with the folks that I know and the bands that I've been seeing here for however long, and then I still come across gems like Good Doom that I'm like kind of just getting to know about. Minneapolis is really special in that way.
Yeah,
I feel.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Before we go, I have a fun question for you, which is that if you got to build like your all-time dream bill, and you can either pick to play with them or not, you have 4 bands and you get to pick the location. Where is it and who's playing?
Whoa.
It's a tough one. It's like endless possibility.
So tough. Whoa. Oh man. Goodness gracious. Wow, Wow, that's tough.
I know. It's a lot of endless possibility to just like throw at you.
Yeah. Wow. Um, well, I feel like every time Beach House isn't on tour, I just wish that I was seeing them so
Yeah.
bad.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'd get them on there for sure.
Sweet.
Cocteau Twins is a group where I know they've, obviously they don't seem to really be wanting to play shows because
No.
I feel like if they did, they would be.
Yeah. Yeah. But this is a
And
fantasy
they've
world.
been around,
Yeah.
this is a hypothetical.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, they're just one of those bands that's like, they're a bucket list band for sure, and
Yeah.
I just love them so much that if they were willing to do some kind of reunion,
Yeah.
even just one show,
Please, just one.
it'd be amazing.
Yeah.
Um, um, oh, okay. I thought of another really good one. Cindy Lee. Cindy Lee would be incredible.
Yeah.
It's a bummer that the tour that Cindy Lee was on got cut short, because I'm from, as far as I can tell, Cindy Lee puts on a glorious, very cool show, and her project from this year, Diamond Jubilee, is probably my album of the year.
It is
Hands
amazing.
down.
It's
Like,
so cool.
I
Yeah.
don't think I've listened to an album this year more times all the way through. Like, it is just,
Yeah.
it's just stunning.
Yeah.
So yeah, Cindy Lee would be awesome. And then it's just, I only have one band left, and I'm all for like just putting my friends on. Like,
Yeah.
I feel like it would be wrong of me to not include at least like one band
Yeah.
that I know and love.
Yeah. Lovely. All right. It's been such a blast being able to talk to you. Thank you so much for coming on and hanging out.
Thanks. Yeah, thank you so much for having me.
Yeah. If you want to let people know what's up, if you have any shows coming up, anything exciting like that, feel free.
Yeah, I think the upcoming show that I have between today or sorry, I meant the I'd say probably the most recent upcoming show I have will be at the Doll House, a house venue in Phillips. It's a whole little festival fundraiser situation. If you want more information on that, I am on Instagram at drey.d.k, where I will be posting more information on that soon. And that's on August 10th, I believe. It's a Saturday. And then I believe August 23rd, I will be at Soft Cult Studio for a show as well. That's all I can think of at the top of my head right now. But yeah, if you want to, if you like what you heard and you'd like to catch me at some point this month live, those are some opportunities.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you so much again. This has been Off the Record right here on Radio K, Real College Radio.